Types of boundaries. So let's see what are the different types of boundaries. So broadly speaking, we can classify these boundaries under two categories, or rather you can say that there could be two types of classifications. So type 1 classification is a real boundary and an imaginary, or also known as virtual, also known as hypothetical. Second type of classification is fixed and movable, or rigid and flexible. So fixed is also known as rigid and movable is also known as flexible. So we have two types of classifications. Now we can club all these classifications and we can make some combination, just like real and rigid, just like real and rigid. Then we can have real and movable or flexible. Then we can have imaginary and rigid, and then imaginary and flexible. So let's study this one by one. So talking about this real and rigid, so as you can see here, there is a body kept on a surface, and if I am focused on this particular body, so this will be my system, and you know that this will be my boundary. Now if I consider the top portion of this body, so which is nothing the region 1 or the boundary 1, so as you can see that 1, 2, 3 and 4, if I consider this, all these 1, 2, 3 and 4 as to be my boundaries, then I can say that 1, 2 and 4 is purely the periphery of the body. Alright. Now 3, you can take any of the thing. You can take either the periphery of the body, or you can take the periphery of the surface on occupied by this particular body. So this number 3, the boundary 3, could be taken anything. So it totally depends upon you which boundary you want to consider. You want to consider it to be lying on this particular body, or you want to consider this to be lying on that particular surface. So it totally depends upon you. There is no hard and fast rule to do that. Then we can have real and flexible. So here this particular body was there, so in this I am giving some motion to this, so this body is moving with certain velocity. Let us consider this. Now here you can say that 1, 2, 3 and 4, if I am focused on this particular body, then I have to move along with this body. Okay, so now this surface is not coming into picture, or rather we cannot consider this surface as to be my boundary of this particular body. Why? Because I need to concentrate on the internal things, or the internal part of this particular system. So if I can consider this periphery of the body, then only I can study this. If I consider this surface, then I will be sticking on this surface, and that will be not considered as to be my good analysis for this particular body in motion. Alright, so 1, 2, 3 and 4, that is number 1, number 2, number 3 and number 4 boundaries we can consider as to be the periphery of the book. So you can see that this is real. Yes, why real? Because this is tangible, you can touch it, it's existing, and it's flexible. Why? Because this boundary is moving, it can move. Okay, then we have some imaginary and rigid. So here in this particular case, you can consider a pipe, and there some water is flowing inside. Now we can consider some lump of water inside this, and if I focused on this particular system, so I can say that whatever the liquid is or water is flowing through this particular section, I have to study that. Okay, I need not to move along with this water. I need to focus my attention only in this particular region, such that whatever the water is coming from this side and going, I have to study what is happening in this particular area. Okay, so this is my system. Now this green colored region, as you can consider 1, 2, 3 and 4 as to be my boundaries. Okay, so 1, 2, 3 and 4, this is my lump of water. You can consider this 1, 2, 3 and 4, all these boundaries to be lying inside the water itself, or the water surface. Okay, and 3 and 4, it totally depends upon you whether you want to take it the surface of pipe, or you want to take the surface of pipe on the bottom. Okay, so if I consider this 3 and 4, then you can consider this to be rigid and real. Okay, so 3 and 4 in that case will become rigid and real. But if you are considering this 1, 2, 3 and 4 inside the water itself, then that will become your imaginary and rigid. Okay, so it totally depends upon the variations and the representations of the boundaries which you are taking. So the boundary, it's not always that a single boundary will always be of one type. It can vary depending upon what you are considering. Then we have imaginary and flexible boundary. In this imaginary and flexible boundary, we can consider this a lump of water, and we are interested only in this particular lump of water. Okay, so this lump of water is moving, so this portion of water is moving. Now we are bound to take the boundaries in this water. We cannot take the boundary on this surface of the pipe. If we consider this surface, then surface is not going to move. Okay, so this water has to move. We are interested in this particular portion of water, so that is why we have to take this 1, 2, 3 and 4 portion of water to be my boundaries. And what are these boundaries? There is no such cuboidal shape or some rectangular line which is being drawn. It's just an imagination of yours. So that is why this boundary is an imaginary boundary. And why it is flexible? Because this portion or this boundary can move. All right. Now let us take another conventional example. In this, the previous lecture I had given, so this is consider your piston, this is your cylinder, yellow portion, and then we have this red color region, as you can see. So this I have colored it with red, 1, 2 and 3. So this 1, 2 and 3 are your rigid and real boundaries, and this fourth one, this is your flexible and real. Why real? Because this is lying on this surface of the piston. And why flexible? Because it can move. So if it is going rightwards, so this boundary can move rightwards, and if it is going inwards, then this boundary can move inwards. So that is why, depending upon the thing that you are considering, what type of boundary and what analysis you are doing, your boundary nature changes. Okay, so I hope you got the idea of the different types of boundaries, because if you understand these different types of boundaries, it will help you in solving the problem. So that is why we should focus more on the fundamentals. Once our base is very strong, our foundation is very strong, you can build buildings, as many storied buildings you can. Okay, so that is why I'm focusing more on the fundamentals to make your fundamentals really strong. See you in the next lecture. Till then, bye.